about diversity. Why is it, and this is a rhetorical question, why is it that when we think of all the dog breeds, piece of cake? We all have our favorites, of course, but why is it that we think of all the species of flowers and bugs and snowflakes and foods to eat? It's really easy. And why is it so hard when it comes to people? It's a really good question to ponder, and I'm not asking you for answers because I don't think there is one answer, but it's something for us to be curious about. It's harder, isn't it? I can think, I mentioned the doggy is one of my favorite things. All these different dog breeds. Now, I may not like that one as much as I like that one, but I'm not judging that one. I'm not saying, why are you brown, and why are you black, and why are you white, and why are you polka dotted? They're all just beautiful dogs, or cats, or whatever your thing is, right? But when it comes to people, it seems to be harder. We talk about a world that works for everyone. Beautiful, ideal, words, until they're put into practice. Until the rubber hits the road. A world that works for everyone until we realize, oh, you're different than me. You're different than me. I think sometimes we need to crack the surface of that harder. You're different than me. We say, oh yeah, I don't care, I don't mind diversity. Yeah, but a lot of times I think that it's a surface thing. We get really deep into it and it's, oh, I don't know if I like that about you. I don't know if you should show me that. I think you should hide that. All kinds of complications show up. I want to mention a movie, and I don't want to give too much away. Has anybody seen the movie called The Woman King?
Yeah.
A few hands went up. Okay. I highly recommend it. I'm going to tell you ahead of time, though, if you see it, you do have to sit through some ferocious battles. But if you're looking at it from a metaphysical point of view, there is much to be found in that movie. So without giving much away, I want to say this bit. At the very, very end of the movie, the king, who is a very progressive king, says some very profound words. And right away, I just said, oh, that's it. That's the whole movie to me. There's these profound words, and I'm going to share the words. If you want to hold a people in chains, one must first convince them they are meant to be bound. The movie deals with slave trade, partially. There's a piece in that, and I know there's a lot of controversy about it because of this. If you want to hold a people in chains, one must first convince them that they are meant to be bound. I am not, and I don't believe he was in the movie, saying that the reason that slaves were held bound was their fault. That's not what it meant. So I just want to put that aside because that's where the controversy lies. What you're saying that these people wanted to? No. That's not at all what I took it to mean. So I personally, obviously, don't know what it's like to be dark-skinned. I don't know what it's like to be enslaved. I don't know what any of that is like. Don't come from Africa. I don't know that. What I do know is a few cultural things that I want to talk about now, and that is I know what it feels like to be a woman in a culture that is patriarchal. Men, nothing against you whatsoever. We live in a patriarchal society. And women, if you apply this, if you want to hold women in chains, one must first convince them they are meant to be bound. Through my lifetime, which is only so many years ago, through my lifetime I have watched, and I have a birthday coming up soon, I have watched women put other women down. You could say, held them in chains, bound them. I've watched women put other women down for all kinds of things, right? Because of their size of their body, because of the wrinkles on their face, because the career they chose or didn't choose, if they wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I've seen women do it to other women. I've certainly seen men do it to women. Nobody here. I'm just talking about a culture. I know what it feels like, and I also know what it has felt like at times to do it to myself. Because the culture around us is, well, you're just a woman. And there are times, if I look at my life, that I've probably bought into that. Interesting. Not anymore, but I can see. The other thing I know is the LGBTQ community. I know that very well. And I know the same thing applies here. I've seen people within the community put down each other, and I've certainly seen our world, just our country alone, put people down for who they love, for who and how they identify. And how we know that this still lives is this. When any any group of people who has felt put down or oppressed or enslaved, when they try to rise up, others try to push them back down. We're living in this right now, aren't we? We are living in it, where women and LGBTQ and black people are being squashed, are trying to. But those of us who are women, and those of us who are LGBTQ, and those of us who are black or any other skin color are saying no. No. That's not the way it was meant to be. But if you're in the LGBT community or a black person and you've done it to yourself, check it out. I know I have. I know I have. Let me just get real personal for a minute, if you will allow me. And it makes me a little bit emotional, but kissing my wife in front of people who I'm not sure if they're going to be okay with it. One example. Why should I give a shit whether somebody else likes it or not? This is the person I love. Shouldn't it be the fact that I love? Of course it should. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but what I'm saying is that when I hold that back, I'm doing it to myself. I'm keeping myself in chains. Somebody has convinced me that I'm meant to be bound. Just take a big pause for a minute. Because this is certainly not to put any of us down. It's for us to realize that sometimes we do. We have let ourselves be convinced that we are meant to be bound. You hear the line, you can put anything in it. If you want to hold the people in chains, one must first convince them they're meant to be bound. So number one is diversity has to start with me telling myself I am not meant to be bound. Has to start with each of us. Yes, thank you, Michael. The last part he says right after that, he says, he's talking to this group of African American people, and he says, we have joined them in becoming our own oppressor. No more. No more. That part of the movie melted me into my skin. It melted me because I felt it in every fiber of my being. The times that I have let myself be bound versus the times that I have said, no, 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 no. Oneness and equality and all the things we talk about here are the truth of life. There's no God that said, you're better and you're worse. I do not believe in that kind of God. And I know you don't either. But there's little subtle ways sometimes that those things creep in. And all I'm saying is we need to look at how we might have let it happen to ourselves. No more, no more. We are all here to say what makes me come alive and to live out loud and to be our authentic self. So diversity starts with each one of us. I have a beloved colleague who's also my sign language teacher, and you hear me talking about him a lot because I love this man. His name is Raymond, Reverend Shawn. He said once about diversity, he said, he's a black man by the way, he said, we must not just accept diversity. We must not just say we believe in diversity, we must celebrate it. Do you feel the difference? Tolerance is something that we got rid of a long time ago. Who wants to be tolerated? Nobody that I know wants to be tolerated. The next level, so if I do it like this, non-acceptance, tolerance, that's better than non-acceptance, but then there's acceptance, and he's saying you got to take it further, otherwise it's lip service. You got to celebrate it. And what does that mean? I am still exploring that. I'm asking questions rather than assuming. What does that mean? Celebrate diversity. Not just, okay, I accept you because you're one of these other things. I just even say those words is so bizarre to me. Why would you even say there's other things, other colors, other people? We must celebrate it, he says. And in order to do that, we have to be curious. We have to ask the questions. And sometimes we must change our minds. And we must change our habits. And we must change our practices. Oh, God, don't make me change. You've seen that cartoon? The pastor stands there and he says, who wants change? And everybody's hands in the congregation go up. And then he says, who wants to change? Nobody's hands go up. Because it's you who have to change. That's what somebody else has to change. No, it starts with us. We hear this all the time, but this is a new level we're talking about. If we are going to be people who make a world that works for everyone, how do we contribute to that? How do we celebrate that? How do we change our minds? How do we change our verbiage when it comes out of our mouth? The minute we say, oh, did you see what they or them, those people, that kind of language, let's change that. What are our thinking patterns? What are our habitual patterns? I'm not going to say anymore. I'm priming the pump for you to go think about it for yourself. Something must change.